Hi crafty friends, it's Tracy Hines, aka Nanner BaNanner. In today's video, I'm showing you some of the items I've curated and pulled together for my next series of journals that will officially start August the 1st, but we're going to start jumping in this coming Monday. So the series is going to be Sunbonnet Sue. I had originally thought I'd do a mashup with the McGuffey Reader and make it kind of like a back to school and Sunbonnet Sue theme journal series, since most of the kids are going back in August. But I was having a hard time sourcing enough items that I felt would let it be a mashup. So I've just decided it's going to be a Sunbonnet Sue series, and that can take me into quilting. If I do decide to use some of the McGuffey Reader items, I will, and we'll just see where it all takes us. I'll be doing a totally different style of journal than I've done so far. So far, I've done what I call my monthly journals, and then I've done some altered book style journals with the curved spine. So I did a live recently, and one of the questions was, how do I get my inspiration for my theme journals and my journal series? And so today, when I launch this next series, I thought, you know what, that's a really good question. And I think it's an example of how everyone gets inspired differently. For me, this is where it began. This book that's not that impressive, but I knew I had this in my stash, and I've had this in my stash for almost as long as I've been junk journaling. I did not purchase it to junk journal. I've also in the past been an avid quilter, and that's why I purchased these, with the idea if I ever found any feed sack material in enough of a quantity I liked that I could get my 2.5-inch strips to sew my blocks together, I would sew this together and it'd be a vintage quilt that I would have. But since junk journaling, I'm going to use it for junk journaling. But this is where the inspiration hit. When I saw this, I thought of the squares and knew that these would be cute journals that I think a lot of people would have interest in. And then I started researching the story about Sunbonnet Sue. And I will get that information here and read that to you because I found it very interesting, the backstory behind Sunbonnet Sue. And I think everybody thinks that everything Sunbonnet Sue is cutesy, and some people like, steampunk and grungy style and all of that, and maybe wouldn't have an interest in Sunbonnet Sue because of that. But in the 1980s, a movement started, and it was basically that a lot of people thought Sunbonnet Sue was a quote, quote, goody two shoes. And so they started doing sunbonnet sins. And they were funny little Sunbonnet Sues doing things she shouldn't do. So that's a direction to keep in mind if you're following along with me and you're more into the dark side or that grungy or steampunky side of life. Maybe there is a way to turn a Sunbonnet Sue journal into more your vibe. Anyway, so let me read what I found out about Sunbonnet Sue. The cheerful figure known as Sunbonnet Sue, occasionally misheard as Sunbonnet Sue, originated in the late 19th century. She first appeared in English greeting card illustrations by Kate Greenaway. These faceless bonnet girls became beloved motifs in the 1870s. Around 1900, American artist Bertha Corbett published the Sunbonnet Baby books. She portrayed Molly or Sue, and sometimes her sister May, always hiding their faces under wide bonnets to emphasize posture and gesture. By 1905, she teamed up with, I I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. I'm so sorry. I think it's Miss Grover. On a popular primer series, later introduced the overall boys, including Sam. By the 1910s and 1920s, quilt patterns featuring Sunbonnet Sue and Sam spread across America thanks to magazines like Ladies' Home Journal, McCall's, and newspaper syndications by Ruby Short McKim in over 900 papers. During the Great Depression, flour sack prints featuring cute bonnet kids made Sue even more popular. Sue became a symbol of feminine innocence, sweet modesty, and a bit too proper. This earned her a love-hate reputation, adored by traditionalists but mocked by modern crafters. In 1979, a feminist quilt titled The Sunsets on Sunbonnet Sue showed Sue meeting grisly ends, satirizing her goody two-shoes image. Since then, Bad Sue or Sunbonnet Sue patterns have emerged, depicting her with tattoos and roller derby gear or embodying the 7 deadly sins, turning her into a rebel icon. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I always like to do a little research on the journals that I'm working on, just because I think that's fun. I'm kind of a history person. I like to research history stuff, and it makes it more fun, I feel like, and meaningful when I'm working on the journals when I have the backstory. So I kind of already flipped through this. I won't do that again. Let me move this off to the side, but I do want to take time. I've got a lot on my table here, but there's some things I'll take time because I think they're worth taking time to see in detail. And then there's other things that we'll just show you and go on, because honestly, I'm not sure exactly how they're going to fit in yet, but it'll come to me. I have no doubt of that. So we'll go from there. So here's one of the blocks, and this is where I was experimenting a little bit with size. I tore this one down a little bit. What I think I'm going to do is when I make my kits, you'll get an entire block, and then you'll get other material that can be used to make the cover. And then what I will do is cut around Sunbonnet Sue and sew her onto the cover. That's sort of tentatively my plan. I'm going to make some journal covers and play around with it and see what I land on. I've also got some Sunbonnet Sue baby books that one of them I know I'm going to turn into a curved spine journal. I was gifted some Sunbonnet Sue material. It's vintage, but more modern, obviously, than the feed sack. And that's what I'm going to use for the spine of that. And I'll actually probably keep that journal. I don't think that one I'll sell, just because it's a 1920s, one of the 1920s books, and it's in really good shape. Okay, so there's the first one. And keep in mind, all of these are feed sack prints, and you can just see the detail in the embroidery, the little bees on the bonnet. That's the other thing, when I put these kits together, you know, someone may want purple, someone may not. So I will list them on the Ko-Fi page, or if I decide to sell them via YouTube, I will bring each one up with its own number, and you could be like, I'm interested in this one. And I might try doing the YouTube instead of Ko-Fi this time, just because when I sell on Ko-Fi, PayPal holds my money for 10 days to wait until the recipient gets their kit. And I don't know how I feel about that. When I sell on YouTube, I get my money right away. So, okay, so here's another feed sack print that's in the navy blue with the orange and yellow flowers. And she has little flower embroidery on her bonnet. Here's a coralish pink with the black and orange and teal print. Instead of describing each one of these, I think I'm just going to slowly flip through them, because we do have a lot to get through. I also thought about depending on, so like if you want to leave a comment and give me some feedback on this, I'd appreciate it. So these are feed sack, and these kits will be a little bit more expensive, reflective of that. I did lower the cost of my last two kits. I was originally selling them for $60 and I dropped the price to $30, but this would be an example of a kit that I would definitely sell for $60 or $65, and it's mainly because of all the items that are going to be in the kit and the vintage nature of some of the items. See, I love pinks. That's a pretty one to me. You'll have to put in the comments too which one of these is your favorites. The blues, the greens, the pinks, the purples. Another neat thing I did, and I'll show you here in just a second, I scanned all of these and put them into my ChatGPT app and had it create a printable. That's over on Ko-Fi. My digitals are always free over there, so go over there and download that for free. You will need to put in a dollar amount of $0, otherwise it won't let you download it, but they are free. And that way we have focal points for some of our embellishments is the thought process. And here's a really pretty red one. I like this pink one too. It has little dogs on it. It's cute. I like this one. It's really pretty. All right, so there's the last ones that are made into blocks. Now I have several. Before I do that, let me show you these printables I scanned. So this is just one of the sheets of the blocks that I scanned, and they can be cut out and used on embellishments and things like that. On the actual kit in Ko-Fi, I believe there's 2 pages this size, and then there's a page where there's 4 bigger ones on a sheet, and obviously background sheets and things like that. Okay, so then when I purchased this, it came with these that were not on blocks, but all pinned together. And again, that is not necessarily a bad thing, because in my mind, I'm thinking I might make a journal where I take the feed sacks and cut these and piece a journal top that way. Obviously, this wouldn't be something I could include in kits, I don't believe. If I did, it would be, again, a one-off type kit, and I would certainly list it that way. Because I think that would be the coolest way to make a journal, to where I had, because you can see the dress is a fairly generous piece. That's so pretty. That does not feel like feed sack, though. I will be honest, that one does not feel like feed sack at all. I don't think that one is. This is, though. I wish that we still bought flour this way, don't you guys? Like where you got it in a bag that was made out of material. All of us crafters would be all over that. Well, these are pinned together somehow. I'm not sure how. Okay. So I've got several here for some reason that are pinned together. Was not easy. Throw that needle or pin away. All right. I promise as we go through, I won't take this much time on all the stuff. These prints are so neat. It's something we don't get to see anymore very often. I mean, we can get reproduction prints of feed sacks, but these are originals. And you can feel the difference. There is a difference in how the material feels. One of the things I shared in my last live is that I was hoping to have kits ready to go when I launched my series. So I was hoping to be able to have kits to offer, like with this video or the next for sure. But since I've not finalized what the journals are going to look like exactly, I'm going to wait, and it'll be like it was last month, where a couple weeks in, I should have the kits available. And then here is the pattern pieces, which if I keep a journal for myself, I will include in a pocket. I think that's really neat. Okay, let me move these over to the side here. All right, I'm trying to decide what direction I want to go in. So I'll show you some of the fabric that, this was the fabric I was thinking I would use in the kits, and then there'd be a Sunbonnet Sue on it. I have looked and looked for feed sack fabric in large enough quantities that I could offer that and have not had any success. So this is a quilt piece that I could offer in some of them. Again, it's not enough for all of them. It's already quilted. It's a 9-patch. And this is not feed sack print, but it is old. And then I have these squares, and I have lots of these, and there's I think 3 or 4 different prints in here that I could choose to cut up to do what I described to do with the feed sack material, where you would piece together these materials on the journal top, and we'll be doing a video like that. But there's this one. This is one print. There's this print that's also used in the quilt top. This one that's used in the quilt top, and there's quite a bit of it. But again, I think what would make it look pretty is using different pieces of material. And there's another one here, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe that's it. Okay. Yep, that's it. So there's 3 prints there. So that's what I'm still struggling with a little bit, deciding on. I may be pulling some fabrics from my stash as well. And, you know, the other thing is, I'm not sure how I feel about mixing fabrics. Like the blocks are Sunbonnet Sue, but then, you know, this Sunbonnet Sue and feed sack, but this right here is not feed sack. So I haven't decided. It is vintage though. And then I have an apron I found that I thought the material was very pretty and very much in that line. And I'll keep looking for different materials that might be able to work with this, and just sort of play around with it and pull material out of my stockpile and decide what I think might look the best with it. All right, so there's that. And then I ordered this from Maddie, and sort of the same concept. This has feed sack in it. I thought I would, a lot of the work's been done. So imagine making a cover out of this, and there's enough here again that you could make, I'm guessing, definitely 2 or 3 journals. Sorry. I think I shared not too long ago that I normally do not have allergies in the summertime, but this summer I've got allergies. And then if you put your Sunbonnet Sue on, I think that would look so nice. I'd love to find a quilt, and I might go thrifting and look for one that's made out of bead sack. That would be my best case scenario. That's the direction I'm wanting to go in. Or it might become a scenario where I cut up what I have, and the number of kits I'm able to get are the number of kits I'm able to get. I was hoping to do 10, but I may not be able to do that many because I won't have enough of the items I want to do that. But I do have a kit I bought from Maddie a while back. It's her quilt kit. I don't know if she still has them. And I haven't been through that to look to see what kind of materials came with it. But it has a ton of quilt blocks in there. And there might be some that are made out of bead sack. I don't know. I haven't checked that yet. And I also need to go through all my material and double check that too. Here's a smaller piece. Again, I could cut these and do the same concept of piecing together material for the cover. All right. Textiles are my favorite. This is what'll take the longest. The other stuff will go quicker. I found all of this. There was more than this in the bag, but I've got a nice thrift store here in town, and I paid $5 for a bag, and this is just the colored trims. It had lots of whites, creams, and neutrals, but I kept out all the colored ones because I thought these would be really pretty for these journals. So I'll be including trims in the kits and in the journals. And there's some crocheted granny squares and pinks. I don't know. There's some like red and blue Sunbonnet Sues that these might be able to be used on too. So I'd say we'll get to use those. And then there's blue, some vintage lace, vintage trims. I've got a bunch of yo-yos coming. I think I have 50 yo-yos coming from Amore Fabric. And some doilies from her, but everybody will be getting some yo-yos that could get used on their cover as well. And then this I've gotten from a recent haul. I've shared these already. I don't know for sure that they'll get used, but some of the like pinks and lighter colors might, and the yellows. Otherwise, I just put them in here for now to see if I end up using them. If not, that's okay. They'll go into my stash. Would you guys be interested in any videos as I'm this week when I'm finalizing the journals, seeing my process of how I do that? Keeping in mind, I might make a journal cover that never sees the light of day beyond that video if I don't like how it comes out. But it's my process to come up with a prototype that I like. Or do you guys like it better once I have the prototype and I've finalized it and you get to see the process from there? Let me know in the comments. Okay, so here is some wallpaper I found while thrifting. And I don't think I brought my scissors over. That is a common thread with me. I forget to bring scissors. Hopefully this is the only thing that will need to be opened, because I found this and I thought it would be perfect because of the quilt look and stuff like that. Let's see if I can get that open. Okay. So this will get used in the journals as well as on embellishments. I think that'll be right up the Sunbonnet Sue alley. I like that a lot. have 2 rolls of that, so I'm sure there'll be lots of leftover for my Sunbonnet Sue wrap party. And I found a roll of this really pretty small print. You can see using that for tags, and it looks so pretty. And then I'll use this in signatures. And it could also line the inside of the journals too. It's a nice small floral print. Looks vintage. Right. Put those over here. Okay, what do I want to go to next? Let me start with some of the books, I think. So here are the Sunbonnet Sue books that I have. These 2 are from the 1940s, so I am not able to scan anything to share, but I can take them apart and use them if I choose to, or I can hang on to them. I haven't decided yet. This one's in really good shape. I don't know that I'll be able to do anything to damage it. This one, however, is not in as good a shape. So I could see maybe using the images in ephemera. Now this one is old enough I can scan the images. And then this is the material that Sandy gifted me, and I just think that's going to be perfect for the spine. And this is 1920s. And Sunbonnet Sue Goes to Italy is what it's titled. And I could scan these images and share them. And just the whole page, really, I could scan the whole page. There's some really pretty pages. One thing I'd love to find, I haven't found, are any Sunbonnet Sue playing cards. I haven't seen anything on eBay or anything like that, so if anyone has any of those in their stash and wants to sell them or would be interested in selling them, let me know. I'd be interested in those. So here's a McGuffey reader, and it's for, I think, 4th grade, so it's not very cutesy or juvenile looking. That was the other reason I sort of took a step back from using the McGuffey reader. There are images in here, though, that would play well with the Sunbonnet Sue. And this is, again, can be scanned because of the age. But haven't decided on that one. That may just get put back on my shelf. I did find some work basket books, and I thought I could make some ephemera with these. Like, look at that. Isn't that cute? And I think that would look good with the Sunbonnet Sue. I can use them for making master boards. I don't think I could use them as interesting signature pages because they are really old. These are from the 1940s. So I don't know that I would even reinforcing them. I just don't think I could do that. Let me see something here. Although the pages are not brittle, I don't know. We'll play that by ear. But there's potential in these. I love, like, the covers of these are so pretty. So we'll be doing an episode of me making ephemera using these, and I'll have to make a decision on whether I want to pull any of the pages to be used in signatures or not. But this would be examples of these. There'd be pages of these in kits. for sure to make ephemera, at the very least. All right, let me see here. Again, this right here, I'm thinking signature pages. It is images for making dolls, that sort of thing. I think these could be cute for signature pages and still leave room for writing. That's just some colored cardstock. And I thought I had several of these. Oh, I do. Okay. I've got a cross-stitch book here that I'll use for signature pages. I happened to thrift this during this time period. Again, I don't know that. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, I was thinking these pages would be good. There's a bunch of them in the center of the book for signature pages. And some of the journals. And be vintage. Really neat. Oh, I do have. I'll have to show you more of the digital kit. I didn't think I had it all printed out. I found this thinking some of the pages could be used in signatures, was my thought process. I think the color scheme goes well. So we'll see if I'm able to do that. And also I want to keep the plastic pages and for bigger journals, like splice them together and have those for some of my bigger journals. But yeah, I thought these pages would maybe work well for some signature pages. And this is really neat. It's a cross-stitch book. And it's the alphabet. Oh, yeah, there it is. I was going to say, I thought it was the alphabet. Maybe I'm wrong. But it is. It's the alphabet. I think these will make nice signature pages. And we'll go well with that Sunbonnet Sue theme. I have some music pages here that I'll use for some signature pages. There's some cute like Toyland. There's some cute ones I think that will go well with this theme. That. And then here's where we go off into a little bit different direction than Sunbonnet Sue, but I think it can make really cute ephemera that goes well with the Sunbonnet Sue series. So I had purchased, I believe all of this came from Maddie. If you guys have not been to one of her live sales or not visited her Etsy shop, I would strongly encourage you to seek out Madeline Diet Designs. You will not be sorry. But I could see these, just the page here being a journal tag or journal card, and they're so cute. I think it will go fine, and the colors are nice with the series. And then I have this poetry. I might use these for signature pages because the colors I think will go well, and there's some floral imagery. If not, I think they could make pretty tags using these books. Same way with this book. Look at these beautiful florals. At the very least, I think I can do tags with them. I think they'll be really pretty. Now this is a doll, some doll themed things. So I thought that kind of went with the Sunbonnet Sue theme as well. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to utilize them, if I'll do tags, journal cards, but obviously when you do a journal, it's about variety as much as it is anything. You don't want it to be so much thematic that you can't include like vintage items and stuff like that. So I thought dolls worked well with Sunbonnet Sue. And we will definitely make some ephemera using these. And this one I could use for some signature pages, the dollhouse book. This one would probably be for tags or just pages tucked in to tuck spots. Okay, I'm going to show you some of the items I've picked up that I'm thinking I'm going to make and utilize in embellishments. So I got these at Walmart, and they're just a little bag with a window. I'm thinking I can decorate those up, put a tag in them. I thrifted these cute little flowers that'll get used for embellishing. Some paint chips in different colors that I think will go well with the theme. And let's see, found this thrifting. I've already watched a YouTuber make belly bands, not out of these types of things, but that's how I'm going to utilize this, is to make belly bands and add things to it to make it more decorative for the series. I was excited to find these and pick these up because these will definitely get used for journal cards. These will be really neat to use. And picked up this. I don't know for sure that these will get used in this journal, but I've seen other YouTubers splice these together and use them in their signatures, and then you can tuck a journal card in. Obviously, I'm not going to tuck the Christmas themed recipe cards in, but I'm going to be playing around with these to see if I can do that as well. I know I recently got a journal from Carla Frizzell, and she uses these in her journals, but she'll take a piece of scrapbook paper, and so two of these will get put together with scrapbook paper, and then it can become a part of your signature, is the thought process. And I thrifted these. I thought these will be good for, that one's a little bit more sporty, but they're nice small little prints that can get used when I'm making tags or backdrops for embellishments. We've got a lot of small images in there, some of them more so than others. Not all of them can be used, but yeah, thought I would try and use these since I found them thrifting. And just some pastel index cards. That way they're already colored. I don't have to worry about trying to coffee dye them. They'll be fine the way they are. So let me see how much of the digital I have printed out here, and you can get a glimpse at what the digital looks like, so you'll know if you want to go over to Ko-Fi and print a copy out here in the next few days before we get started and get in full swing making our embellishments. Because I shared, again, I put up a live that was a wrap party for Raggedy Ann and Andy. You might want to check that video out. There's still a chance, even if you weren't at the live, to win a journal by leaving a comment, but you'll have to watch it to see what comment you need to leave. But this is what I came up with for the, so there's actually two Sunbonnet Sue digitals available. The first one was when I was thinking I was going to do a McGuffey matchup, and it works. I mean, it can still, I'll probably still use some of the pages in these journals. The second one is geared more just Sunbonnet Sue. And I know I'll be using these for sure, because I got the, like, I scanned those blocks to get the, you can see, like, that was a block, that was a block. AI created that. Don't like it as much, but that's okay. That's what you run into with ChatGPT. That's why my digitals will always be free, because Chat's doing all the work and we're all benefiting from it, and they're not perfect, and but they're usable. I mean, there's items within the fussy cut sheets that are very usable, that sort of thing. All right. So I'd taken pictures from the 1920s Sunbonnet Sue, and said that I didn't want the exact page, but a likeness, and this is what it came up with. Here are some labels, some little sayings. This is again the larger sheet of the Sunbonnet Sue Girls that we talked about. I guess I had 3 sheets of those. Okay. And this is where chat gave me a preview of what it could put together, and I had to approve or not approve it. So I don't think this is actually in the digital kit, but I went ahead and printed it out thinking I might be able to use some of the wordage, that sort of thing. Here are some smaller labels, and this is what you run into with ChatGPT, and I have another video with it that's a tutorial on how to use it. See how it's cut this off? That's a common thing, and you can ask it not to do that, and it may not do it, but it might still do it. And it can be frustrating trying to get that part ironed out, but I've come to the conclusion that there's still a lot of usefulness in that for most people, and for free, you don't mind, you know, that that's cut off. But if you were paying, you know, I wouldn't want to pay for something that was like that. And again, in my post section on YouTube, there is a link to my Ko-Fi, or if you go to the Ko-Fi app or website, it's Tracy Hines, aka Nanner BaNanner, and you will find me. All right, guys, that's everything I have so far. Again, as I go thrifting, I will be on the lookout for any items that I feel like I could use. And on these journals, I will be busy here this week putting together the prototype for the journals. I will be having a video each day with some type of embellishment that we will use in these journals. That's the plan anyway. And thank you so much for watching. I know this is a long video, but I do appreciate everyone's support. If you'll like, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. And I love reading the comments and getting your all's feedback. Remember to keep it cute, keep it crafty, and keep making something out of nothing. Bye.